Hi folks, I'm Mark Lorenz. You're watching Alberta on My Mind on Shaw TV.
Mark Lorenz is a fabulous, fabulous person. He's a great songwriter, a great player, great singer, and we're very happy to have known him for many, many years.
We've done a show with him, I think, up in Grand Prairie. He's got a good tone in his voice. Nice fella.
Yeah, he's tall, like me. We can talk eye to eye. That's what I like about Mark. I don't have to look down.
I used to host the Black Diamond Jam years ago. Mark Lorenz, I met him there years and years ago. And he was always absolute gentleman and wonderful singer. But most of all, just a wonderful gentleman. I've always thought of him as that way, you know. He's a very humble, awesome entertainer.
I've been on the road now, dang near all my life, and I do love to sing a song. You can say I've worked hard and put in my time, and now it's time to go home and catch up on my chores.
How I really sort of got my start in music was, believe it or not, and it's kind of a funny story, but it was actually a practical joke. It started out seriously as a practical joke. Now keep in mind that I grew up on a farm. Country music was a part of our everyday lifestyle. It was being played in the tractor, it was being played in the combine, it was being played in the kitchen every morning, you know. But how it really sort of got started was we were looking for a very unique birthday present for a buddy of mine. And he's, you know, one of your friends that sort of has everything. So we found this little recording studio in a mall in Calgary. And we kind of hemmed and hawed about it, and my buddies kind of chickened out, and I was like, well, I'm not a chicken, I'm gonna do this. So I went into the studio and we cut a song. And the person that was sitting behind the board, the producer at that time, said, you know, I have this friend that's hosting a singing contest here in the city. You think you'd be interested in going in it? And I kind of, oh man, you know, like, I don't know, man, you know, like this, up until this point, now keep in mind, up until this point, you know, I hadn't picked up a guitar, you know, had sung along in the tractor, you know, but not really, you know, gotten up and sang in front of anybody. And I kind of went, well, yeah, okay, let's give it a shot. I won that contest, and everything just sort of started from there, you know, like, I put together a band, you know, I learned to play guitar, I started writing, and we hit the road.
Watch the sunset from my porch, and I'll be somewhere in Alberta if you're looking for me, drinking in that great wide open, soaking up the summer breeze.
I grew up in Airdrie, Alberta, and I was born and raised there. I grew up on a working horse and cattle farm just north of Airdrie. But when I was growing up there were only about 3,000 people there. And it was probably one of the coolest places to grow up. We learned to ride. We used to ride our horses into town. That's how small this community was. There were times when we would ride our horses to school. I know, it's crazy, right? And I mean, so I grew up on this farm, and we raised cattle, and I learned to rodeo, and I learned to rope. And then it just sort of graduated into bigger things. Country music was always a part of my life, so that was part of the graduation process into country. But my life on the farm was really cool, you know, like, I mean, we were a working cattle horse operation. We were also a working farm operation. So from a very, very young age, I was driving a combine and a grain tractor.
Checking back and settling with my family. I'll be somewhere in Alberta if you're looking for me. Well, that's where I got started, where I was born and raised. Well, My head's a fire inside of me.
As a songwriter, all of the influences that I put into the material that I write generally come from my experiences growing up. You know, like one of the songs off of Black called Sweet Summer Nights. This song has stuff in it from when I was growing up. Like Copley's Road is an actual gravel road just down the road from where I grew up, and that's one of the lines in the song, you know. How we used to run down, you know, Copley's Road, swimming in the pond. I mean, that's all stuff that we did growing up, you know. I spent my whole life, I learned to drive on a gravel road in Alberta, you know. And all of those experiences transfer over into my songwriting. I mean, just about in every song that I've ever wrote, there is a landmark or an experience that I've had growing up here in southern Alberta.
We used to run barefoot down Copley's Road, chasing each other to that old dugout. Those summer days used to last forever. And each night we'd spend cuddled up real close in the backseat of my '66 Olds. I never thought those nights would ever end. Well, those sweet summer nights are memories that our hearts won't forget.
When I wrote this song, it was actually wrote specifically about the Airdrie Pro Rodeo. It was about the sweet summer nights, the things that we used to do when we were growing up. And one of those things was go to the rodeo every single year. You know, it was a tradition. It didn't matter where you were, it didn't matter how far you moved away. Everybody came home for the Airdrie Rodeo. It was really it was cool. It was like an alumni thing that everybody did.
No matter where we are in our lives, we'll always have those sweet summer nights.
It's an outdoor venue, we were on stage. The sun was going down behind the stage and we were playing, and I looked up and off in the distance we could see the horses, the rodeo horses running across the hills in the background, and it's all green and all you see is the horses running with the sun coming down behind us, and I just thought, this is paradise. And what was really cool about that moment was that there was a moment when I kind of got caught up in the music, and I got caught up in the song, and I got caught up in being in that location, and I actually stopped singing, and everybody else around us kept singing.
Well, I remember the first time that we made love, a billion stars shining bright above. I've never felt that way with anyone. We watched the sun come up in each other's arms. She said, I love you with the break of dawn. Another moment like that we'll never find.
Out of all of the places we've traveled, I've never found the kind of people that we have here in Alberta. And I mean that in no form of disrespect to anybody that lives anywhere else. But being that I grew up in the country, I mean, we grew up in a community where your neighbors that might live 50 miles away from you cared about what happened to you. You know, if you needed help, people would come running. You know, and that's the way that I try and live my lifestyle too. You know, like I don't want to be one of those people that sees somebody broke down on the side of the highway and won't stop to help. You know, like I just, that's not the way I am. And those things really, you know, really influenced me growing up. You know, seeing our neighbors come and run. And if we had a massive snowstorm in Alberta and we knew that people were going to be snowed in, whoever the neighbor was that had the big tractor that could plow the road to get everybody out would be out there helping. You know, if you came out one morning and it was -30 out and you had a dead battery, it was one phone call away to your neighbor to say, hey, you know, can you come give me a jump? Those are things that you can't find in a lot of other places around the world, you know. And you even find that in the big cities here. You know, if you go to Calgary or you go to Edmonton, you know, you go to Grand Prairie, Red Deer, any of those communities, you're still going to find people that want to help you, no matter what. That's a pretty sweet thing to find.
Well, those sweet summer nights are memories that our hearts won't forget. No matter where we are in our lives, we'll always have those sweet summer nights.
I really truly believe that Alberta is probably one of the greatest places in the world to live. I mean, we have everything here. We have lakes, we got beautiful prairies, we got foothills, we got mountains. You know, we really have a wide, diverse country right here in Alberta. And I mean, I've been very blessed. I've been able to travel all around North America. But this is home. This is where I grew up. This is where my roots are. This is home. And you know, you go out on tour and you get excited because you're getting out on tour, but there's just something about, you know, when that tour starts to wrap up and you just can't wait to get back to Alberta.
Never would have imagined this Alberta highway led far beyond my wildest dreams. So tonight I'll turn out the lights and say goodnight but not goodbye. And I'll be somewhere in Alberta if you're looking for me, drinking in that great wide open, soaking up the summer breeze.